Welcome to the Moonbeaming podcast. I'm Sarah Faith Gottesdiener, an artist, author, and intuitive. And together we'll explore life through a creative and spiritual lens. You'll learn so much about mysticism, creativity, consciousness, depth psychology, business, and more. And you'll get to listen to conversations with luminaries that you won't hear anywhere else. With each episode, you'll receive insights, frameworks, inspiration, and tools to help you thrive and grow. Hello, and welcome back to Moonbeaming. I hope that your spooky season is spooky in all the best ways. I'm so happy you are here to come along with our little mini series that I'm doing this November, where I'm unpacking spirituality a bit, just a little bit. Last week, I talked about what it was not and some common pitfalls I see folks approach it that might not be the best way to go about approaching it. And hopefully you had an aha or two. Hopefully that was helpful for you. And this episode, I'm going to discuss some definitions of spirituality. There really isn't just one, I don't think. Not for, such a huge thing such as this. As with anything complicated, there are plural definitions. So we're going to get into that. Hopefully that will also allow you to sit down and think about what spirituality is for you. A little reminder that the Moon Studios' big yearly project, Many Moons, is now shipping, and that for podcast listeners, we have created a code for you. If you want to get free shipping until this Friday at 3 p.m., you can enter POD at checkout. And to be clear, this is only for folks living in the United States. If you live in the United States, you can get free shipping. We don't ship into other countries except Canada, but Canada shipping is costly. So we are a tiny little business and we can't afford to do that. Maybe one day we'll be able to, but for now we cannot. So enter POD at checkout over the next couple of days, and you will get free shipping for your many moons. All right, let's get into today's show. Okay, so what is spirituality? It's funny, when I was compiling my notes for the show, I was like, Sarah, why do you do this to yourself? You could just have a show about cute little baby hippos, right? Or I don't know what else, puppies, rescue dogs, something a lot simpler. But no, I got to try to talk about what spirituality is. So here we are. Now, of course, this is my own viewpoint. And like I said, all I really want is for you to listen to this. And if I am leaving something huge out for you, this is like your chance to really be like, oh, I think it's this huge thing. This is what it is to me. This is how I utilize it. And this is how it's helped me, So I'm just sharing some ideas and thoughts about what spirituality is. First, this kind of goes without saying, but I think it is important to start off with, which is that this is a prioritization of the spirit. Now, we could also get into the weeds of what the spirit is. And my answer to that right now is spirit is the vital life force that lives inside of you, that is unique to you, that goes on and weaves itself through the world and through lifetimes. And also, spirit is, when you think about spirits, like the spirit of the oak tree or the spirit of Inanna, or, archetypes have spirits, animals have spirits, plants have spirits. This aliveness, this force And we could certainly have whole podcasts on what just spirits are, but I'll leave that here for now because we know that we can go off-road on this show and I don't want to go so off-road. It's also prioritization of the unseen and subtle realms. The realms of energy, intuition, intellect, the spirit and the soul. These realms that are the astral, the underworld, the world of the dead, the etheric, the cosmic realms. It's the belief in a world that is greater than just the material and greater than just humans. I think this is really, really important, especially now, like so-called Western civilization has really tried to rob us of our connection with the all that is. And there are these worlds available that are greater than what we can solely experience physically and materially, and to add on to that, of course, the material realm is part of the spiritual realm. In Kabbalah, it's kind of the last stop in that it's the farthest away from these more etheric realms of creation. And this world, the material world, our bodies, earth, like how spiritual is all of that? Because I know for me, embodiment is the goal. That's enlightenment to me. I said, I think last episode, I'm not like on the enlightenment path. I mean, I do want to be enlightened. I want to seek truth. And I certainly want to seek truth around me and my own bullshit, which I hope all of you can do, right? Like shadow work is a really big part of spiritual practice. But for me, like embodiment is what I really seek in this body. Can only happen in the body, through the body. Like this is the only time I get to be with my body, like this lifetime, right? In the present moment. And so the congruence and the confluence of the intangible and the tangible creates this. Spirituality implies that there's just as much at play in the subtle realms as there is in the material realms. And that's what my project, Many Moons, tries to do in a sense, is to make the intangible tangible. We're humans, so we love proof. We love material proof. We love receipts. Many Moons gives you the receipts. Many Moons provides you with the ability to have receipts because there is absolutely nothing better than writing things down all in one place. We need to write things down to make manifest. We need to speak things into existence. As I speak, therefore it exists. And we need to record what is happening to us in the moment so that it makes sense further down the road. Many Moons was designed to have ample space to jot down what's happening, your intuitive hits. It actually has prompts around that. It's like, I'm trying to get you to write down, what's happening in the intuitive realm, your premonitions, what comes through in one of the rituals or spells or tarot pulls that are woven throughout the guide. Yes, it's a functional planner and you can just use it as such and it would work really beautifully, but it's also a spiritual book that has been channeled to meet the events of the year specifically, which is super cool. It's super neat. And whether you're just starting out on your, intuition awakening or you're a seasoned practitioner, it's certainly designed to meet you where you are. Moving right along, I think this is a really big one, and that is spirituality is a participation in the natural world. We are nature. Nature is cyclical. Nature has phases of seeding, growing, blooming, decay, death, destruction, the void, and liminal, and then another cycle begins. This is fundamental. All the templates we need exist in nature. To ignore our nature is a tragedy. That was one of the themes of this year I talked about in the strength workshop for those of you who purchased it. So one of the themes is our true natures. Like, what is our true nature? It's very important in a spiritual practice, right? You should not be trying to make yourself a square if you are a circle, The next is to ignore the phase we're at, is to ignore ourselves on a fundamental level, Why are you trying to force yourself into a blooming era or a full moon era if you're in a composting era and a waning moon era, you know? Many moons is a cyclical tool that integrates astrology, the lunar cycles, the four seasons of the northern hemisphere, and it reminds you of this. It reminds you of this with weekly reminders that are timed to the lunations, astrological transits, and the seasons. A lot of times, people who utilize many moons, they're always like, wait, how are you in my mind? Or like, how did you know I needed to read this reminder right today? Well, yes, I am psychic. It's true. Like that, there's that. Of course. Like, are your other planners psychic? Not, might be useful to have a psychic planner. And also, it's because you're nature and there are more opportune times to plant things and more opportune times to rest. And that is what many moons helps you to do. Some moons are great for rest. Others are great for growth. Some are great for illumination. Some are fantastic for connection. And many moons leads you to that and guides you into that. You don't have to guess anymore. You do not have to guess. You do not have to learn astrology or working with the moon or a cyclical level. There's a guide. I mean, first of all, it's inherent within you. And I create tools to help you connect to what is inherent already within you, meaning your true nature, your intuition, your inner knowing, your inner instincts that are beautiful and are just for you, for sure. But yes, many moons is this beautiful tool because most astrological planners also don't take the larger themes and cycles into consideration. But many moons is this holistic tool because I definitely believe spirituality is meant to be integrative and intersectional and holistic. Remember last episode where I said spirituality isn't a modality, It's greater than that. Okay, here's the next important idea about spirituality. Spirituality is an engagement with the truth. For years, I was confused about this one. I'm still not all the way there, but I understand the importance of it. You will hear, specifically in Eastern traditions, many spiritual teachers talk about the truth all the time. I referenced Adyashanti, I think last episode. He has this one book where if I did a push-up every time he said the truth, I'd be more ripped than Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2, What I believe we're talking about when we're talking about the truth is being able to see reality without distortions. One of the causes of our suffering is our distortions, our projections, and our resistance and refusal to see what's happening right in front of our eyes, and to also not be able to clearly see ourselves and to take accountability for ourselves. That's why I think, there's all this talk about the ego being bad and all of these things. And the ego is not bad at all. But the ego can keep you protected. For more on the ego, go to the Eight of Swords episode where I talked quite a bit about this. I won't go down the rabbit hole because I have a whole episode that discusses this more eloquently than me just off the top of my head. But the ego isn't bad, but when the ego is telling us stories that are not the truth, that lead to separation, self-harm, or projections or blame on another person, we can begin to see how much harm it can cause. Like we see this at a large scale when certain groups of people are demonized, and that demonization or dehumanization leads to certain people justifying that they can harm them. It's a classic case. People who are saying that certain people are worth less than other people are suffering from these projections. So the only thing we really can do is take accountability and responsibility in our own lives, first internally with ourselves. This is what spirituality can help us with, to help us address our denial, our shadows, our fears, our insecurities, blaming other people, blaming ourselves too much, all of this distorts reality. Clarity is an incredibly powerful state of being. Clarity is kindness. To reference the tarot again, the card I'm thinking of is the Ace of Swords. That is this idea of being able to access the truth. And there are many truths. There's not just one truth. We want to be in the realm of truths when we're operating. Mental clarity, energetic clarity is so important. Think of someone who's in total denial of a specific reality. I'm sure you can think of, someone who is with someone who treats them really poorly. They insult them or they cheat on them clearly, or criticize them, or just something. They're objectively not okay. We've all seen that. Maybe we've been there ourselves. Why is it easier for us to see that than that person? Well, there's a longer answer there, of course. But for now, I'll say we have the gift of detachment. It's not our lover. It's not our bestie. It's not our parent. It's way easier for others who are non-attached to see the patterns in us. Like, this is why we pay people to do these things, because it's hard for us to see ourselves. I often will get readings and I will say to the reader, show me what I can't see. Tell me what I can't see. Tell me what I can't know. When I do readings where I distill patterns, maybe years of patterns with someone in 1 hour, they'll say it's more valuable than years of therapy. It's because I operate from love and non-attachment. And if you want two superpowers, cultivate love and cultivate non-attachment. Have you ever had a friend tell you after you broke up with someone, well, I never liked them? And then you're like, well, why didn't you tell me? And sure, it could be in part they don't want to upset you. People will, not share things all the time to keep the so-called peace. But often it's because you would not have listened to them and they probably know it. If you're like, I'm in love with them, like I think of the Disney movies where she's always like, but daddy, I'm in love, and you're like, with that thing, you wouldn't listen, right? We often have to learn the lessons the hard way. Not only that, but sometimes we need that outside person to tell us. Maybe other people have told us. Maybe two of our friends have told us. Maybe, we have our best friends who have spent hours of their life listening to us complain or cry or all of that. Like, bless true friendships who will do that, right? But when that outside person tells us, whether it's a reader or a therapist, or just that person who's not your best friend or not doesn't know all of the details, when that's combined with our readiness to receive the truth, then we can hear it, and that is what facilitates the healing process. Healing essentially hinges on gaining a change of perspective in a positive way. We cannot heal without a change of perspective or a change in belief in the truth. The ability to see what's truly there in its full spectrum is one of the most important abilities you can have. The universe will give you the same lesson or series of lessons again and again until you finally get it. Then you can move on. They'll give you another lesson, like for real. It's not like, oh, smooth sailing. I learned this lesson. Finally, I changed the pattern. No, there's another lesson, and then another one, another one, another one. Well, the truth helps us to discern the lesson we need to learn right now. Do you know how important that is? That's like such an important step. It's like, what lesson am I needing to learn right now? And then what is the truth around how we are behaving so that we can change ourselves and adapt, change our behavior, change our reactions. I'm so stubborn, and it's only, halfway through my life, I'm truly understanding how important the truth is in order to change patterns and to move on. I want different lessons, don't you? Don't you want better problems, different problems? I do. Like, that's what I want. I'm done with the old problems. Like, we've been there, done that, stale. I'm ready for the new. But in order to do that, we have to change our behavior and we have to change our mindset. We have to change every single bit of whatever it is that is contributing to the pattern. And many moons, gently and sometimes not so gently helps you with that, with prompts, reminders, spreads to help you see the truth. Like tarot, wow, probably no better tool, in my humble opinion, to help you see what's going on, to help you get there more quickly. It will help to facilitate your understanding. I want all of us only having the best problems to deal with. Like, oh my God, now that I've started realizing my creative potential, what project should I do? Or, oh my God, like now that I love myself and respect myself so much more, like I don't know who I should hang out with. Like, there's all these really awesome people in my world. Or, oh my God, now that I started listening to my intuition and seeing how much it opens things up and how I can make decisions much more easily, what am I going to do with all this time? Now that I figured out what my purpose is, what door should I open first? What should I do with all this money? I have all this money. Where should I donate it? How should I invest it? Like, these are the problems that I want everybody to have. These are the problems all of us need now and going into the future. And Many Moons is one of the tools that can help you get to your truth much more easily, much more quickly. Here's another fun facet about spirituality, and that is spirituality is paradoxical. It's deeply personal and incredibly collective. I hold facilitation containers as part of what we do at the Moon Studio. The last one I did was the Artist's Way. It's always a really supportive and safe space. I set it up energetically that way. The folks who come in are super vulnerable and incredibly awesome. So folks are sharing really personal, really specific stuff. And the whole group of people on the call, usually it's about 40 folks or so, they're all so happy and relieved because they can relate. What's personal and vulnerable is relatable. So there are these universals in spirituality, and there's also a deep personal component. For one person, music is very spiritual and healing. For someone else, it's food. You know that a lot of my work is around the subconscious, changing patterns, transformation from the inside out, archetypes, working with consciousness, creativity, the nervous system, and the body. They're pretty broad, but also specific. I also think spirituality should be supportive, fun, creative, and evolving. I am absolutely here for the discipline piece. There's no way I would be able to be a professional tarot reader or run a business without discipline. And also, like, we're here to have fun. And I'm a goof and I like variety. Some people love laws and maxims. Fun fact, you get to enjoy stoicism. Some folks are more physical. They want to have more embodiment practice. It's very personal. It's very personal and it's often paradoxical, right? We talked about truths. There's often more than one truth. And there's often some form of paradoxicalness to spirituality, which is kind of how you know it's in the room. As I've said before, spirituality is not just one modality. I really think it's this combination. And that's why Many Moons includes just about every modality, every way of experiencing. There's tarot, herbalism, magic, meditation, creativity, astrology, writing, somatic practices. It's so intersectional. It's this combination. So you get to sample and try different practices and rituals throughout the year that all help bring you into wholeness, embodiment, and intimacy with yourself. Many Moons does that. And when you know yourself, truly magic happens. Know thyself. Spirituality is meant to help you become more alive. If your spiritual practice is like bringing you down and making you feel, bummed out or anxious or paranoid or like distrusting, might be time to take a break and choose life. Spirituality is meant to help you recover yourself and turn you into the creator you are meant to be. The ultimate creator is the universe or Mother Earth or Goddess or God or whatever you think the source of all that is. Whatever it is, that's creator energy. And part of how we participate in our wholeness is through creation. When we tap into our creator energy, we enter into a conversation with the great creator. In many moons and a lot of the other practices I try to give you will support you in that conversation. Spirituality is a relationship with spirit and spirits, unseen world, our ancestors, our higher selves, the planets, animal spirits, nature spirits, muse spirits, archetype spirits. Everything alive has a spirit. Everything is alive. And everything that is alive is communicating with us. For example, I listen to my houseplants and they like hanging out together. One day, one of them talked to me and they were like, put us together, like put more of us together. And lo and behold, I put my more tropical plants together. And I swear the growth just like started really growing, like they started thriving more. And one person could say, oh, it's a coincidence, or maybe there was like more light. We can always find reasons, or they'll just, judge me as someone who's listening to my plants. But my plants do better when I sing to them and talk to them and listen to them. That's the tiniest example. But for me, like my life is the evidence. My life is better when I treat more things like they are alive and when I listen to more things. Don't you want to be acknowledged, loved, and listened to? Why wouldn't you treat as many things in your path as possible in the same way? Again, I'm not saying I do it perfectly, but when I do it, I benefit from it. I'm a private person, y'all. I'm a pretty guarded person. I can be shy. But when I create my aura and construct my aura to be open and to treat as many people and as many things with love, care, and acknowledgement as I can, I benefit. I don't know about you, but I need all the reminders I can get. And Many Moons definitely is a reminder to facilitate a larger conversation with the greater world. It gives you prompts and ideas that you can try that are super easy. They don't take too much time. They don't take too much energy. They can be adapted however you like. Like if you have 10 minutes, do it in 10 minutes. If you want to make it more elaborate, you can do so. They're also flexible and adaptive and will meet you where you are. That's really why Many Moons exist, is to help to support your practice or practices of spirituality and create a space where your intuition is nurtured, where your nature is respected and supported. And we offer dozens of ways to help you get closer to seeing, closer to the truth, closer to wholeness, closer to healing. And you're going to want to pick one up and experience the magic for yourself. And for the next couple of days, you can get free shipping in the United States with the code POD. So if you haven't picked up your copy, now's the best time to do so. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation about spirituality. I certainly hope you have your own prompts or your own ideas around it that you want to dive into. Maybe it can help guide your practice over the next couple of months or into the future. And I will be back soon with another episode. Have a beautiful week. Moonbeaming is a Moon Studio production. It is edited by the wonderful Amelia Ruby at Softer Sounds, and theme music is by Melissa Caitlin Carter of Making Audio Magic. Hire them both for all your audio and podcast needs. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're always looking for aligned sponsors. So if you are a business or creative who'd like to sponsor an episode or two, reach out. If you love this podcast, please consider joining our membership to support it, sharing on social media, passing it along to friends, or leaving us a 5-star review. We'd appreciate it so much, and we appreciate you. Thanks for being here.